We are joined today by Kyle Neddenriep, joins us today instead of tomorrow from the Indianapolis Star. Kyle, thank you, sir. I know it is the start of the busiest time of the busy time of year.
It sure is. A lot of fun last night, and I was out at Noblesville and had an enjoyable couple of games, and looking forward to the rest of the week. It's only just begun.
Yeah, upsets, near upsets, changing in the tournament. You were, like you just said, you were at Noblesville, kind of an upset there, as a matter of fact, in 4A, as Zionsville goes down in Noblesville 67-53. Westfield beats Fishers 62-44 in that sectional.
Yeah, Fishers was ranked number 2 in the state, and anytime a team ranked that high goes down, it's definitely an eye opener. But that was a team in Westfield that was playing with Braden Smith, who'd missed 7 games, including a 25-point loss to Fishers that happened just about two and a half weeks ago or so. And he felt like in that game Fishers was kind of pressing late. I actually went back and watched it on YouTube, and he's not wrong. I mean, they were pressing into the final minutes, and I guess everybody's got to, I don't blame Fish. You do what you do to finish the game, and but you can also take that as a certain way as an athlete and use it to your advantage. And Braden Smith did exactly that last night. He played with an edge. I have rarely seen a high school player be able to sort of grasp and turn
Damon Bailey-esque.
I mean, it was incredible. I heard people who've seen both compare him to Scott Skiles, the kind of the way he was motivated and just relentless. And I know who Scott Skiles is. Obviously, I've seen him play. I didn't see him as a high school player in person, but it was unlike.
He was what you call a gamer. He was a Jay Edwards type.
Yeah, and I think Braden. It's pretty rare. I've covered a lot of games, and I haven't seen a player kind of harness that very often. And I've seen it, but not very often. And I thought he did that last night. And he's playing with a foot that he's going to have surgery on when the season ends. So it's just it's pretty incredible what he's doing. And last night he had 20 points in the first half, 28 for the game. And Fishers was never really, they got it back to, they were down by as many as 26, cut it to 13 at one point, but he was really put them on their back, and they're into that semifinal. They play Hamilton Southeastern on Friday, a team that's under 500, but still they beat Westfield with a healthy Braden Smith. So any team in this sectional is tough. And then the first game last night I thought was also sort of a surprise. Noblesville jumped out on Zionsville right away and never trailed in that game. And, it was close early in the third quarter. Noblesville kind of put the screws to them, and they win on their home court. They played about as well as I think they have all year. And, they have some nice players. Preston Roberts as a junior had 15 points, all of them in the second half as they kind of pulled away. Zionsville didn't, Logan Imes had such a great season and really start to the season. Then he got hurt his ankle, and he was out for a few games. And, talking to Jarrell Howell after the game, they just never kind of quite got back to what they were. If you remember earlier in the year, they were ranked number 1 for a time in Class 4A. They were 8-0 at one time, and they finished 14-8. So couldn't quite keep that momentum going. It was kind of similar to last year. They had a sectional game last year where they just couldn't they just didn't play very well, and it kind of felt like that again. So a tough end for Zionsville. Noblesville now plays Carmel, so that'll be I think it'll be a hopping host site. Noblesville is hosting the sectionals, so they'll kind of play that underdog role, and they've played Carmel tough in the past in sectional games. So those are old rival schools, and I think Noblesville will be up for that. And this is a Carmel team that hasn't been always as dominant as previous years. They're very good defensively. Sometimes have struggled on the offensive end. So I'll be curious to see how that turns out. But yeah, I thought really the story of the night was Braden Smith, and I think anybody who's there will remember that performance for a long time.
And that makes me really, really wonder. I know that this kid wanted to go to Indiana. and he ended up getting the offer from Purdue, and that's where he's headed. But I have a suspicion this is going to be one of those kids that Indiana regrets letting get away. One of the Indiana kids that they regret getting away. He's just, having seen him very little, but listening to you, he's got that grit and that gear, and it reminds me when you talk. I mean, that's kind of Damon Bailey-esque to be able to do that, to turn that on. That's the only I remember back when he at the Final Four when he won. I mean, he scored the last 11 points in that game, and it was basically clear out and get out of the way. And to be able to just do that in a high school game is, you just got to have something to you, and they're special. And I heard talk about Braden Smith for a while, that he kind of had that in him, and it sure sounds like it, especially when you do it at the right time like that. Man, that's not everybody just has that. And Indiana could use that right now. It's why the hell they've lost so many games of not having composure at the end of games.
Yeah, it's something that's hard to describe, because it's sort of something when you see it in person, you kind of know, like, well, it's sort of an intangible thing that it's hard to put into words, I guess, or hard to know what it is until you see it. But, he does have that. And I don't know how it, I cover these guys, throughout their high school career, and really enjoy doing that. And I know everybody, the college fans and whatever, they want to project, I'm kind of, I like to let them live in the moment a little bit and enjoy their high school experience. And so I don't know how it translates to Purdue or beyond, but he's going to be a different player in college, because he's going to be more of a facilitator, which he does really well at Westfield too. But he does have to score a lot for them, and he does that, and he forces the action. He plays with a chip on his shoulder, and I think that's refreshing, to be honest with you. I like watching that. I like watching a guy who's not, who is not afraid to wink to the crowd, or I'm not coaching him, so I guess that's it's different. But Shane Sumter, the Westfield coach, I think he really enjoys it too. But sometimes he has to pull back on Braden just a little bit. He's so competitive, but man, he's just there's something about him that right now I'm not sure there's many people who have that. I gotta let my dog in real quick.
It's all right. That means fortunately we'll get to see a lot of that, because last night also on the winning side was Lawrence North. They were able to get past Crispus Attucks without CJ Gunn. So CJ will be able to now continue to play. He was out of that game, of course, because of an infraction in the previous game, but he will get to play in the sectional next. What's Lawrence North's prospects look like?
Yeah, I was glad to see that. I mean, not that you root for any team, but that would have been a tough way to end his career without being able to play on the court. So I was I think for his own sake, and I would have been happy for Attucks too, because I know their coaching staff pretty well too. But for CJ's sake, it's a good thing, and really it sets up an excellent matchup on Friday night at North Central, and they'll play Warren Central, which has Louisville commit Tay Davis, and he has played like a Mr. Basketball candidate all year too. So you'll have two guys going head to head there in a really good game. And Lawrence North and Warren Central have been two of the hottest teams in the state, for a while now. So, I think that'll be an excellent game, and should be a packed house, sort of similar to what we've seen from that sectional 10 over the years. So, that sets up to be a really good game. I'll actually be out at North Central tonight for two games, Cathedral and North Central in the first game, and then Tech and Lawrence Central in the second game. So should be a fun night of basketball out there. There's not as many games tonight on a Wednesday night, but there are some good ones, including that sectional at North Central.
So where is Lawrence North playing? What sectional are they in?
Sectional 10 at North Central.
That is also, so that's where you're talking about tonight. So there's more games there tonight.
Yeah, it's a 7-teamer, so that the alignment's a little different. You have one game Tuesday and then two on Wednesday, which is a little different than a lot of the 6-teamers.
And That sounds like one of the tougher sectionals around.
Oh yeah, typically, I mean, every year I think, I cover that sectional a lot, and it's always especially the last, gosh, I mean, well, I cover it almost every year I've been here, but the last couple of years it's been insanely good. And this year I thought could be slightly down, but then you see these teams are kind of trending. Like Lawrence North has played really well. Warren Central's played really well. North Central won the county, and Cathedral won the city, and those two teams play each other tonight. So, you've got some real, this, and I think this is probably Cathedral's year, if and they haven't won a sectional game in 7 years. So they're trying to break through and win. So this is a big test for them tonight. I think if they can get through that first game, it's going to relieve some of that pressure. But, just so much talent on that team with, guys going to Eastern Kentucky and Murray State. And, of course, Xavier Booker's not committed, but he'll go somewhere good. They just have a lot of talent. And, they've had a great year. They just have to do it in the sectional and now. And I think this is their chance. And North Central's good too. I mean, Joey Brown, hopefully he's healthy from his took a hard fall here a couple of weeks ago, but I've heard he's probably going to play tonight. So, they'll be locked in and ready too. It should be a really good atmosphere and a good game tonight at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, Xavier Booker, another potential IU target out there that's playing. And I was at Martinsville last night. I watched Bloomington North beat Columbus East. JQ Roberts, he had another IU potential target. That dude is just freaky athletic. He surprised me with his ball handling skills. I saw him bring the ball up quite a bit at a speed. For a 6'7" guy, he looked pretty good. And his hops were crazy. He had double well into the first half and ended up with like 23 and 20 or something. It was a quiet 23 points, I'll be honest with you, but they end up holding on for that win. But I just wonder, a guy like him, boy, he's almost like a tweener between a guard and a wing. And I don't know. I'm like, where is he really going to fit at the next level?
Yeah, I think that was kind of the question about him, and I've liked most of the games I've seen him play. He's played really well, and I always come away feeling more impressed with him than I was going into it. So, he just produces, in my opinion. And I don't cover a lot of Bloomington North games, but I'll see him once or twice a year and here and there. But, I agree. I think he's kind of a, if he's one of those guys like, and there's a lot of guys like, if they're 2 inches taller than all kinds of offers. But, sometimes I think that can be overrated, based on the skill set of the player. And, like you said, he can handle the ball. I don't know what he's shooting percentage wise from the perimeter this season, but I've always seen him shoot the ball pretty well from the outside. He's a high energy guy, so I like his demeanor. This doesn't mean anything, but, talking to him after games, he's always really,
he's a super great kid. You can tell he comes from a good family.
Yeah. So I enjoyed getting to know him the little bit that I have that way too. So he's got a lot going for him, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I think, I don't know where he fits exactly or how different programs might perceive him as a player, but I like him and his game. And I think they've got a chance. That team's got a chance, to get through. They have, I think, Columbus North up next, and that'll be a tough game. And then the always pesky J.R. Holmes is always lurking out there. So you never can count out J.R. and Bloomington South. So as well that Bloomington North, is playing this year. I think, they'll probably have to get through those guys too.
I think they had a bye last night. South.
I think JR just gets the bye automatically.
There were South fans at the game.
Okay.
So I didn't think that they were playing a second game, but I can't remember. Maybe they did. But regardless, I also was paying attention to down in sectional 16, down to Floyd Central, New Albany, Jeffersonville, Bedford, North Lawrence, Jennings County, I believe, is all in that. Seeding. Why is it so difficult to just seed 1 and 2? The IHSAA has got to start seeding 1 and 2 in these sectionals, especially you talk about a 7-teamer. Man, that's ridiculous because you could have the two best teams playing the very first game. You did last night in Sectional 16 with Floyd Central and Jennings County. And I wish to gosh I had been there for that damn game. I know Floyd was down by 13 early on. Couldn't seem like they couldn't score for anything. But that game would go to double overtime and be just an absolute thriller. But that's the best game that sectional is going to see. Those were the two best teams, and now it's over, and it was on Tuesday night. That game should be on Saturday, man. And all it takes is seeding 1 and 2. And you cannot tell me it's that difficult because that sectional, hell, they're all in the same damn conference. So that's easy as pie. I know that's not always the case, but I think that between conference finishes and rankings, it cannot be that hard to just distinguish 1 and 2. You don't have to do seed 7 teams, just 2 of them. And I think it's a must for the tournament to continue making it exciting, especially now that with the class system, you kind of taken away something that people still have not completely came back to. I think this would help propel better games.
Well, I think it would just make it more interesting. You know, I think you're playing for a little something extra during the season, and you know, I agree. I don't know why it's that hard. I don't know, but also, you know, is there a big clamoring within the the people who ultimately make these proposals for something like that? I don't. You know, there has been in football over the years, and it's kind of it's died out at certain levels when it comes to votes, but. You know, I don't know. I mean, I agree. I hear it from a lot of people. I like the idea of seeding 1, 2. You keep the sectional teams the same, basically, and you just because of travel and basketball, you can't be spread out everywhere. But you know, just seed the top 2 teams. I think you could do it just by a coach's vote. You know, but have them get in a room and vote on who the top 2 teams are, or Zoom call. And I think in most cases it's going to be pretty clear. It would be tougher in some, like sectional 10 at North Central. You know, who you're going to put 1 and 2 there, but you know, I think there's ways to figure it out, and a lot of it would be head to head. You know, during the year, you know, or Sagarin factoring in maybe to some of that. So, but yeah, I don't know that it's going to happen. I think, you know, maybe down the road at some point it'll come to a vote or whatever, but. I think it would add something more than anything. I think it would add to the regular season. So you're playing for a little bit more. It's not even that complicated. You know, some of these states have complicated playoff systems and metrics, and I get lost in the weeds in that stuff. But, you know, this would not be that complicated. You're just seeding 1 and 2 and then blind draw the rest of it. You know, you still have your blind draw show. You can do all that and make your money off that, and so be it. But, you know, I think there's a way you could do it, though.